Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So this week we're going to talk about the big news that we received on Wednesday, which was about the suspension. There has been new suspensions for the game on top of the Boba Fett leader from Set 1 that has been suspended. Now we have 3 more suspensions. So this Wednesday there was a live stream from FFG. Good watch, definitely something that I'd recommend watching. It's good to kind of get a feeling of like what the developers think and how they talk about the suspension in itself. But also there was an article that came out the same day that talked about the suspension list. You can find it on the website itself. So it's this one here, the suspension update for April 2025. Now this article talks about the suspension itself, and it goes into great detail on what they needed to see and what actions they did. So the things that we want to make clear here is the 3 cards that were suspended. There were 3 cards suspended. The first one was Triple Dark Raid. Triple Dark Raid was the first card, one of the cards that was suspended, and this one is an event card that cost 3. Another card that was suspended, or the second card, whatever, was Jango Fett Leader. Jango Fett Leader from Twilight of the Republic. This one got suspended as well, and we'll go into more detail of why in a little bit. And then the third card that was suspended this round was from Shadows of the Galaxy as well. This is DJ. So some of the things that they talked about in stream, which is kind of interesting, then I kind of feel like needs to be kind of like discussed, is like why they suspend cards. So some of the notes I took is they mentioned 3 points. I think it was Danny who mentioned it. Dominance. If there's too much dominance of a card or a leader, that's definitely one of the things they look at. And that includes the percentage of how much they are in the top 8 or whatever it is. If they have too much dominance and they're constantly winning, that's a problem. Also, the time that has been in the meta, in the top of the meta. So if it's spent too much time there, that's one thing that they want to look at and make sure that it's not it's not causing too many problems. And the third one is play pattern. If it's too detrimental, he said, and it holds back decks. So if they have cards that do that, it would definitely be looked at. And this is one of the reasons why. For example, Triple Dark Raid or even DJ was considered, because most people were talked about maybe just suspending Jango, because Jango as a deck as a whole is pretty detrimental. But the fact that Triple Dark Raid was suspended is because, well, first of all, it's the dominance of this card. This card was in 100% of all top 8 decks. 3 copies of this card was in all those decks, so it had an overpresence. And they did mention that this card, they didn't say that it was overpowered, but it is overpowered. For basically a 3 cost event unit, you can get a vehicle, and that vehicle will come in ready, and it will cost 5 less. So when you have this card coming out with like the new Devastator or even War Juggernaut or other cards, it just makes it so powerful. The article itself talked about how Triple Dark Raid is the best over-the-top card, and it mentions it somewhere here in this paragraph. With the advent of Jump to Lightspeed, Triple Dark Raid has instead become the best over-the-top direct damage event in all of Star Wars Unlimited, dealing up to 13 damage to a base for only 6 resources, thanks to Devastator. So yeah, it's an overpowered card, and that's why they decided to suspend this card. Because something that they did mention, and I think I appreciate, is like when they go and design these cards, they design them with the current sets that they're working with, right? And this one came out in set 2, so with set 2 and set 3, they didn't have a lot of ships that was necessarily overpowered to take advantage of all this damage. So something that I do appreciate from the developers is that they were humble about making this mistake. And I don't really want to call it a mistake, because when you're designing a game and you're trying to balance things out, there will be oversight. But however, they did say that we missed this card in the sense, like, when it came to jump to light speed, there were some ships that they didn't think that was gonna create such a problem, but they knew that Triple Dark Raid existed. And they mentioned that they don't want to hinder a set's theme just because of one card. So if this card ever became a problem, which it did, and Tyler acknowledged it, then they will deal with the card itself and not necessarily hinder a whole set just because of one card. So that was one of the reasons why Triple Dark Raid was suspended, the main reason. The next one is Django. So Django itself came out in Twilight. Now this card itself is just punishing. I'm gonna give you my personal experience with this Django deck. Django, I played against once, and once was enough for me, because I was playing I think my Tarkin deck and just trying to put out units, and every time Django would come out and he would put in IG War Juggernaut that came out and jumped to lightspeed, it would exhaust all my units, and it was annoying. To the point where I was like, okay, well, go ahead, do your thing, just exhaust all my 5 units that I have out there, and I had nothing to do. It was just paralyzing. And I'm sure that's the experience with a lot of people, because with this unit, essentially you could exhaust. So when you flip them out, when a friendly unit deals damage to an enemy unit, you may exhaust that unit. So if you're dealing damage to like all these units with War Juggernaut, IG, indirect damage, whatever it is, you're exhausting everything. And that's what happened to me. This person I was playing, he came out with IG first, and then he pulled out his 3 War Juggernauts, which exhausted everything for like 2 or 3 rounds. And I was just like, okay, I know I'm losing, so just have fun, congratulations on your win. But I was just done at that point. So I played Django once, and that was enough for me. I knew that if I played him again, I'd probably just be like, all right, let's see what happens, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna win. But either way, that's why Django got suspended, because Django itself is a paralyzing leader. They did mention that it was over 50% of the top 8 competitive decks in sectors. Also, the reason why: it cuts off interaction between players. They didn't feel comfortable that it cut off this interaction between players. It exhausts whole boards. And the fact that with Jump to Lightspeed, the new mechanic, indirect damage, just works so well with Django, because with indirect damage, on top of the damage you do with other units, it's just too overpowered. It's just too much, and you can't really like combat it so easy, because Django Fett has a 7 health. It's a strong unit that it's just out there for at least 2 or 3 rounds until you get something to remove them. So that's why Django got suspended, and good thing, because once you see Django out there, it's like, well, I don't really feel like playing with against Django. Now the next card that was suspended was DJ. DJ itself was not suspended beforehand, even though they did talk about it a few months back, and they knew that with this card, the Han deck was very powerful. Now DJ itself is a legendary card that came out in Shadows. The thing is with the DJ is that it's a permanent resource removal for the player, and this is something that they just paralyze people, because not only Han gets ahead of you like really fast, but then once he starts taking your resources, it's like you have no way to catch up, because Han just gets ahead. This power combined with tech and the other units just makes it pretty hard to combat. So they mentioned that DJ was the key to that deck, to the Han deck, because it's permanent resource steal. But something they did mention is they didn't want to ban DJ, because Han, sorry, they didn't want to ban Han or suspend Han, because Han, they want it to be a staple in the game, a staple leader. Instead, there's other ways you could play Han, but they still wanted Han to be a pillar in the game, so they decided to lower the amount of power that Han has overall, and suspending DJ helps lower that power, even though, however, they do expect that Han will be one of the top decks in the Richmond sector qualifier. And all that is mentioned here in this article. It's not something that I'm just making up. So something they mentioned in the stream that we want to make clear is that they're always going to consistently look at the suspended deck or suspended list to make sure that, you know, they can bring back other units. They did mention with Legends of the Force that possibly there could be some changes, you know, bring back some leaders here and there, but we don't know. You know, they're gonna do it, you know, and that makes sense. You know, it's a game that constantly changes, and with over 250 cards that comes out with every set, there's just so much possibility, right? By the end of this year, we're gonna have well over 1,200 cards to choose from. So if my math is correct, I think that's something like that. Let's just say 1,000 cards, right? But and either way, who knows when the suspended list will change. There actually might be more suspensions coming. Who knows? I'm gonna make a little graphic here and just kind of include these cards in a little jail cell for the time being until they come out, right? Anyways, one thing I do want to say about the stream and about the developers, myself, with my opinion, I appreciate them being humble, you know, and admitting the shortcomings of some of the cards that maybe just didn't expect to be overpowered, and humbly admitting, you know, they missed something or making a mistake. Truly appreciate that. I also appreciate the honesty that they demonstrated, because, you know, making a game with so many variables, it's hard, but also to keep it balanced. So the fact that they admitted their mistake and being honest with that, and they're not really necessarily hiding anything, just makes it much appreciated. And also the fact that they're transparent with the community. I think it's great that we know the mindset behind things, right? We don't know everything that goes behind closed doors, but at least we understand what they're thinking, why they do it. They give us reasons why they do it. And something that I do appreciate is that they don't, like they said before, instead of errating or changing a text, they just suspend it. Something that I did not like from X-Wing Miniatures game is that when they errated something or changed something from a card, you have to have a list. Like, you have to kind of remember, oh, this card does this and it doesn't do this anymore. So keeping track of all that just made it kind of cumbersome, kind of hard to just keep track of, and not pleasant when it came to the game, because other players that knew that errated, you know, and you didn't know it, you know, you wouldn't play it constantly. It would just be hard to keep track of. So I do appreciate that, the fact that they just banned or suspend a card for now. It just makes it easier to kind of just keep track of everything. Something I noticed that I think Tyler was he was trying to be positive as much as he can, you know. He was smiling. However, I feel like his smile was kind of forced, but he was trying to stay positive, and I know that there's some kind of level of pain or annoyance, I guess, because, you know, you've been working on this game for so long, and just something like this happens, you just don't know what to expect. But that's just something I observed, and maybe I could be completely wrong, but either way. So something I wanted to kind of bring up here in the last section here, looking forward, something that it says here that kind of stood out to me, I kind of found interesting. It says, we had a lot of time to get Spark of Rebellion right, but for the rest of the year, development was exceptionally tight for our small team. So that makes sense. You know, if you have a new game, your team's not going to be that big. But however, it says, it is clear we made some mistakes under the increased design cadence of the new mechanics of Shadows of the Galaxy and Twilight of the Republic. So there you go, you know, admitting their mistakes. But it says, well, now Boba suspended, I think, well, they mentioned here that, you know, because of Jump to Lightspeed, and especially it says Beyond, it says marked a dramatic increase in our team size and therefore our development capacity. So yeah, because of Jump to Lightspeed now, you know, the company sees how the game's going. It's a popular game, so they're going to add more resources to the game. It just makes sense. Also, I wanted to mention this last paragraph here. The direction we are taking today has been guided by 3 important factors: the tournament data we observed, acknowledging mistakes in our development process, and most importantly, listening to the community feedback. And that's key. I think that's key to making a project successful. Either it could be a movie project, a show, TV show, or even a game. Listening to the community is where your success will be. Because these are the people that pay your bills. These are the people that will buy your product, will keep your game alive, will keep your movie alive, will keep your show alive, is listening to the community feedback. Without the community, the game is dead. So this is something that I know they understand. I think probably more people need to understand. Not just like about money, getting more money as much as possible, but listening to the community. This will add to the longevity of your game. So I appreciate that they do saying that. It says adding suspensions to a trading card game is a challenging step and not one we take lightly. So this is a good article, and it was a good stream. And even though we didn't get any previews this week, but this is a big deal, right? It just makes the game a little bit more bearable, a little bit more fun to play, because playing against those decks is just not fun at all. And obviously they want more decks to be accessible, ready, just have more fun, more variability, right, with different decks. It just makes the game funner. Either way, let's just do our thing here we do all the time. Let's open up some packs. We'll do Jump to Lightspeed this time. We have three packs. Need to get more legendaries, like always, right? We all need to get more legendaries. So we got a Luke, got through our commons here, got a Hyperspace All Wings report in. That's cool. Resupply. All right, Astromech is our uncommon. Boshek, Podameron, and then a rare IG, and then a foil Chewbacca. That was nice. Go our second pack here. Rio, Masasai Temple, our commons. No Hyperspace this time. Hunting Aggressor, Razor Crest, the Chimera, and then a rare Corporate Defense Shuttle, and then a foil Quasar TIE Carrier. Nothing too exciting in that one. One more pack. Ooh, Kasuda. I think this is my second one. We got Kasuda. One of my friends made a Kasuda deck, which is pretty good. Destroyed me every single time I played him. Shout out to Justin. But really good deck that he made. In-Depth to Crimson Dawn, War Juggernaut, Page. Nice. There you go. My first Devastator. Then a common Red Squadron. Nice. That was a good pack. Here we go. Some of the highlights. I know there's a lot of glare. Sorry. But that's our opening for the week. That's the video. I appreciate everybody watching. We'll come up with more videos this week, and we'll have more products that I opened up, and we're going to upload that soon. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Until the next one.